Rachel Green, Monica Geller, and Phoebe Buffay are all beautiful, but Friends singled out only one as the hot one. For a long time, there was a trend on screen where, within any group of female friends, regardless of what any of them looked like, one was always upheld as the hot friend, pretty much always because she was the main love object of the story. But this trope split off from other hot girl tropes for one key reason: her friendships. So where did the hot one trope even come from? And how did Rachel, with the help of Monica and Phoebe, change it for the better? And have we finally gotten rid of it altogether? Let's take a deeper look at the hot one trope. For a long time, a female friend group having a designated hot one was just a given. It was pretty much just the accepted setup in any film or TV show featuring multiple female characters.
We're just two little girls from Little Rock.
This attractiveness difference often fed into the idea that girls were never really friends. They were just hanging out, and often in competition with one another, until they got what really mattered: a man. Even among sisters, there's usually one who is noted as the beauty.
And since you were quite 5 times as pretty as the rest of us and have the sweetest disposition, I fear the task will fall on you to raise our fortunes.
And the male part of the equation is key because the entire concept of the hot one, of course, isn't based on some inherent truth about human beauty. It's based on what, or rather who, the men in a given story are interested in.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not hear a word that you just said, because I can kind of see your party hats right now.
The women themselves are all beautiful, but the story would always posit that one needed to be picked out of the bunch as special. And the main way Hollywood likes to show that a woman is special is by pointing out how hot she is.
Serena looked effing hot last night. There's something wrong with that level of perfection.
Even as society evolved, the attention of men was still placed at the center of many women's stories. The love of a guy was still seen as the thing women should be striving for. And so the woman that was the most desired by the principal men in the story got upheld as the hot one. Although, it being Hollywood, all of them had to be pretty to even be on screen to begin with. Being hot, and specifically the hottest one of a group, marks her out as something hard to get, and thus, in the framing of many stories, a good prize to be won by the man.
Serena, you're the most beautiful, amazing, alive person I've ever known.
As opposed to, say, a sweet and simple girl next door, who might be nice to have around, but isn't necessarily seen as a win. But of course, women have continually pushed back against this gross framing, and all of the negative connotations that come with it. While the hot girl is often set alone, unable to make women friends, or be seen as anything more by men, the hot friend is often allowed to exist as a more full character within the story. She does have friends, and she doesn't, usually, see them as competition or just a holdover until she gets into a relationship. She cherishes them and they her.
Jess is by far the best person that I know, so if you guys let anything happen to her, I'm gonna come here and crazy murder you.
And if anything, the hot one is often actively trying to avoid falling into the pitfalls of the hot girl trap. She knows that how she's perceived by others, especially men, changes how she's treated, and she doesn't like it. Her sense of self isn't exclusively tied up in male validation, but she also can't seem to escape the attention.
For a long time, I made a career from my looks, so I get it. I'm a pretty girl. And not in a from a certain angle way, in an obvious way. That's how men see me. I'm not a smart girl or an interesting girl, I'm a pretty girl.
Society might still try to pit the women in these stories against each other, but they push back because they value their friendships. But that doesn't mean that the seemingly effortless beauty of the hot one goes unnoticed.
So, that's how you look when you've just woken up? Yeah. Nothing in my life is fair.
And often, these kinds of stories will allow the friends that aren't the hot one to have their own hot girl moment, making it clear that the entire idea of hotness is all about perception more than anything else. Through its main trio of female friends, Friends explored this trope from all angles, and provides some interesting insight into the trope and why it finally got left behind. One thing every friend loves is good food. If you want to enjoy tasty meals without all of the hassle of prep and cleanup so that you can get out and enjoy those beautiful sunny days with as little time spent in the kitchen as possible, you need to check out this video's sponsor, Factor. Factor can help you meet your wellness goals this summer with its menu of chef-crafted, never-frozen meals that are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. I love that Factor helps me fuel up with delicious meals without taking time away from the things I enjoy. Instead of having to shop, prep, cook, and clean, I just get these great meals delivered straight to my door and can have one ready to go in just 2 minutes. And with 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons from breakfast to dessert, you always have new options to explore. Head to factormeals.com/thetake50 and use code thetake50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next box. That's code thetake50 at factormeals.com/thetake50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Early on, Friends slots its friends into pretty well-worn tropes. The control freak, the funny one, the weirdo, the nerd, the ladies' man, and the spoiled rich girl. All three of the women are clearly beautiful, but Rachel is singled out as the hot one by the story. Interestingly, Courtney Cox, who plays Monica, was initially asked to audition for Rachel. Jennifer Aniston was said to be more like Phoebe, and Lisa Kudrow most related to Rachel's character. And all three had played hot girls in various other things before landing their roles on the show, which makes it pretty clear that the whole hot one thing doesn't actually have anything to do with any specific look, but instead the way the story chooses to frame the characters. While Cox was beautiful, Monica's personality was uptight and controlling, something seen as decidedly not quote-unquote hot.
And remember, if I am harsh with you, it is only because you're doing it wrong.
Phoebe was weird, but also self-assured and sexually forward, so she did sometimes get hot moments, but they were usually played for laughs.
God, I love how sexy I am.
The show itself plays with this perception through its use of Phoebe's identical twin sister, Ursula.
Oh, well, what do you know? There goes my identical twin sister. Just walking along, looking like me.
While the two sisters look exactly the same, and in fact are since both are played by Kudrow herself, the show constantly points out that Ursula is the hot one.
Everyone always thought of her as the pretty one.
Through these two, the show is able to explore how being the hot one doesn't really have anything to do with looks, and is all about how you're perceived by those, namely men, around you.
They're twins. I don't care. Phoebe's Phoebe. Ursula's hot.
The show does also explore the male version of this trope, the ladies' man.
How you doing?
But we also see how, for men, hotness isn't really a major factor in desirability as far as on-screen narratives are concerned.
Oh no, two women love me. They're both gorgeous and sexy. My wallet's too small for my 50s, and my diamond shoes are too tight.
Monica was initially seen as the main character of the group, given that so much of the show takes place at her apartment, and she seems to have her life more together than the others. Rachel was initially framed less becomingly, as a spoiled and whiny rich girl. But as Rachel became more solidified as the show's main love interest, and thus the most desirable and hot one, she was moved to the forefront. While she did have other story arcs, like being out on her own for the first time and reconnecting with Monica, the main thrust of her story was her on-again, off-again relationship with Ross.
Because she's your lobster. Come on, you guys, it's a known fact that lobsters fall in love and mate for life. See? He's her lobster.
Not being the hot one gave Monica and Phoebe more freedom to focus on other things and explore other parts of their lives and interests. They definitely do date plenty, but their lives and story arcs don't necessarily revolve around their love lives in the way that Rachel's does.
I mean, here I am about to pop, and he's out picking up some shop girl at Sluts R Us.
Is that a real place? Are they hiring?
And through flashbacks, we see that even Rachel herself didn't always see herself as hot. She was insecure about her looks until she got a nose job. But it was this focus on her looks that also got her trapped in the idea of being the hot one for so long.
It's like all of my life, everyone has always told me, you're a shoe. And then today I just stopped and I said, what if I don't want to be a shoe? What if I want to be a purse? You know, or a hat.
Thankfully, over the course of the show, Rachel does get to start branching out and being more than just the desirable friend. She gains confidence in herself not through her love life, but through growing as a person. Getting a job that she enjoys and that she's good at allows her a new kind of agency to see herself as having value beyond just her physical appearance.
My work, it's for me, you know? I'm out there on my own and I'm doing it. And it's scary, but I love it because it's mine.
Importantly, the show never framed the women's relationship as competitive. They weren't all secretly battling over some guy. They were friends who were all there for each other no matter what. And as the show evolved away from the earlier framing of Rachel being the most appealing one, we got to see how all three of them were desirable in their own way. And critically, how that wasn't the main focus of their lives.
Look at you. You're this big executive. You are much more capable than you give yourself credit for.
Rachel's on-screen evolution was in many ways the beginning of the end for the hot one trope, as it had so long existed on screen. In the same way, Monica, Phoebe, and Rachel were all able to evolve out of their initial limiting tropes and become more full, complex characters, well-done narratives in general have evolved away from trying to trap female characters in any single box. Nowadays, the hot one framing has pretty much been left behind in favor of this more equal exploration of how everyone is desirable and interesting in their own way.
90% of life is confidence. The thing about confidence is no one knows if it's real or not.
A big part of this is thanks to the continued move away from seeing male attention as the end-all be-all for women, on screen and off.
When I'm telling my own story, for the first time in my life, I am truly happy.
It's also much more accepted that hot can mean many different things to different people. There's not one way to be hot, and so no singular hot friend. Female characters now are more interested in exploring their own sexualities under their own control, not sitting around hoping they're chosen out of a lineup by some dude, but instead going after whoever they want, or not if that's not their thing.
Are any of you in relationships?
Oh, no thank you. I didn't come to college to be tethered to some dude I dated in high school.
Also, I never really dated anyone in high school, but I'm here. I'm super sex positive. In theory more than in experience, and I am ready to smash some D's.
And the focus is much more on becoming the happiest, most capable version of yourself and building strong friendships. Hotness is all about perception. And now, we're finally controlling how we're seen by the world. That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive new videos.